the number 10 spot is the late Queen Elizabeth II. So it's no secret that there are quite a lot of people out there who are not fans of the royal family. And while for some it might just be about an overall lack of likeness towards the monarchy, there are many out there whose hatred stems from a deep-seated belief that everyone in the royal family are in fact shape-shifting lizard people. This all started from some footage that was found online of the Queen where some particularly strange eyes seem to appear out of nowhere. In the video, the Queen is standing at what appears to be a game of sorts, and then all of a sudden her eyes change to look almost like some sort of crazy demon. Immediately people were freaked and jumped to the conclusion that it was because she was a shape-shifting lizard. But others blew it off as just her having bloodshot eyes. Now, listen, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a bloodshot eye that was completely black before. I'm just saying. As you can imagine, this footage did not help the royal family's rep of being from the constellation Draco and only further cemented the belief that they are all evil lizards. What do you think? Coming in at number 9 is Katy Perry. So here's the thing about lizard people. They tend to be exclusively pinned on celebrities. Now there is some reasoning behind this. It's because the shapeshifters are supposed to be evil, and so they take over the bodies of celebrities or leaders in order to be able to have the power to wreak havoc on our world. One of the celebs that people swear is a lizard is none other than Miss Teenage Dream herself, Katy Perry. The footage that brought her into this world comes from an interview she did years ago where for just a millisecond it appears like her eyes change color from a sort of blue to green, and just for a second it looks like her pupils turn into slits. Oh, I should mention that apparently a calling card of these lizard people is that they have green eyes, so her eyes supposedly changing to green was seen as proof of her real lizard self peeking through. Suspicious? You tell me. Next up at number 8 is Rihanna. I refuse to believe that Riri could be an evil reptile alien sent here to wreak havoc and cause evil, because number 1, she's like the chillest human ever, and 2, I mean, she's Rihanna, so I don't want it to be true. But it looks like even the good ones aren't safe according to believers of the lizard people. The proof comes from some kinda sus footage from what looks like a live talk show or something, and even though it's a bit blurry, it does look like there's something weird going on. If you pay close attention, it does appear that her eyes turn into slits for just a millisecond before turning back to normal. I mean, should we be worried? Could she really be a lizard person? I mean, even if she was, she would easily be the most beautiful lizard person I've ever seen, so at least there's that. Coming in at number 7 is Angelina Jolie. From what I have come to understand about the conspiracy race of the shape-shifting reptiles that walk the earth with us, is that more often than not it is the eyes that give them away. Maybe their eyes are the hardest to control shape-shifting wise? I'm not totally sure, to be honest, but either way, there are definitely some strange videos out there with some weird things going on in the eyeball region. One of these videos is of A-lister Angelina Jolie. In this particular interview, you can see she's blinking her eyes a ton, which you might not think much of, but when you zoom in really tight and slow down the footage, you can see that there is a half a millisecond where it looks like her pupils elongate into slits before snapping right back into normal. My question is, does the blinking have anything to do with the trying to control their eyes from changing? Again, I have no clue what's true and have no facts to back that up, but the video is for sure a little strange. Next up at number 6 is Shakira. Once again, another pop princess with the voice of an angel has been accused of being one of the evil lizard people sent to destroy the planet. The clip that caused the uproar is from an interview a few years ago where, yep, you guessed it, her eyes slightly change shape for a millisecond. For starters, her eyes are already quite dark, so it's a little hard to tell at first, but when the video gets slowed down and you zoom in, I will admit I can kinda see where people are going with the whole eyes changing thing. There is a moment where it does kind of look like her pupils shift into a thinner shape, and dare I say the iris kind of goes more coppery? Is that a sign? mean, I have no idea. Truth be told, it might not be quite as obvious as some of the other ones on the list, but nonetheless, there are many out there that insist she is among the shapeshifters. Apparently, it's not just her hips that don't lie, but her eyes too. Coming in at number 5 is Lady Gaga. Okay, let me make one thing very clear. I'm a huge fan of Lady Gaga, like huge. I think she's an amazing artist and just a super badass person. All of that being said, I am fully aware that many people think she's a total weirdo, and like, if lizard people did turn out to be real, I could see why people would suspect Gaga to be one. I mean, if anything, what is more camp than being a shape-shifting reptile masquerading as a human, right? The main clip that brought Gaga into the suspect list of shapeshifters was from a live interview several years back, and just like almost every alleged lizard person, the clues were in her eyes. Now, first off, her eye makeup, gorgeous, but if you peer a little deeper into those eyes, you might notice something kinda looks off. She looks down for a second, blinks her eyes, and then just ever so slightly you can see that it looks like her pupils change shape and get slightly thinner for a second. Then boom, back to normal. Also, she did once say in an interview that she has always loved to shapeshift. I mean, she was talking about her hair and makeup, but was it a clue? Is this solid proof she's a lizard person from the constellation of Draco? I guess it depends on who you ask. Next up at number 4 is Isaiah Carey. Several years back in 1995, there was a reporter for NBC who became an overnight sensation after a hilarious video of him swallowing a grasshopper aired during a live broadcast. People kind of fell in love with him because he had such a huge reaction and totally switched up his entire demeanor after he accidentally swallowed the bug. However, not too long after, some people noticed something was a little off about the video, and some even started to wonder if swallowing the bug was an accident at all. What's strange about this video is that if you pay close enough attention, kinda looks like his tongue is actually aiming for the bug, just like a frog reaching for a fly. Not to mention, he has quite a big tongue compared to most people, and it kinda looks a little pointy. Either way, after he swallows the bug, he immediately turns away from the camera, and some have suggested this is to hide any further evidence that he was actively shapeshifting at the time. But also, I would probably turn away from a camera if a bug flew into my mouth without warning too. I don't know, man. Either way, the video is hilarious, so let me know what you think. Evil reptile or funny human? Coming in at number 3 is a mysterious creature. So this video is definitely one of the weirder ones on this list, cause like actually what the heck is happening? Inside what appears to be some sort of cave, a pair of glowing orb eyeball things peek out from behind the wall, but when whoever is actually holding the camera advances on them, they quickly retreat back behind the wall. Like, not gonna lie, it's kind of creepy. The creature then continues to peek out to see if the cameraman is gone before stepping out completely, showing its unnerving form, and then suddenly bolting away deeper into the cave, never to be seen again. Now, the real question, of course, what is it? Is it a shapeshifter, a weird alien, some other weird thing we have never heard of or seen before? I mean, all I know is I would not want to see that alone in a dark cave by myself. I just have a bad feeling it would kill me and eat my flesh. I'm just saying. Coming in at number 2, a security guard. It goes without saying that presidents are not going to really go anywhere without their security guards. But what do we really know about their security? And if there is reason to believe that politicians themselves are a part of the alien lizard race, then wouldn't it make sense that their protection would be too? Well, speaking of, back in 2012, during a speech made by President Obama, footage of the audience captured a peculiar looking security guard in the crowd. At first glance, you might think it's just like a pale, bald dude standing there, but when they pan to the side, it straight up looks like he has no ears. I mean, what is going on here? It's giving Voldemort, if you ask me. Even weirder is when the video zooms in. If you really pay attention, it kind of looks like his head is pulsating, which, truth be told, I have no clue what that could be about, but lots of people have come forward saying it's definitely footage of him shapeshifting right before our eyes. I mean, would that mean that everyone in the CIA is a lizard person, or just a select few? I want to know how it's decided what people get taken over by the alien lizard overlords. What is their system is all. I'm just wondering. And last up today in our #1 spot is Timothy Geithner. As I mentioned, it's not just A-list movie star celebs that have been accused of being a part of the lizard race taking over mankind. Among some of the most accused are politicians and even the staff that work under them. Former Secretary of the Treasury under President Obama's presidency is among one of those that some have come to believe is a dangerous lizard person hiding behind the face of a human man. The clip that raised some eyebrows and added him into the long list of potential involved personnel came from some kind of speech, and it definitely is very odd. Unlike most of the others on this list, it wasn't his eyes that had people questioning him, but the skin surrounding them. For a moment in the video, it looks like Timothy shifts into his reptile form, and the scales begin to show through the skin around his eyes, until suddenly he touches his face and it magically disappears. Like, could this be faked? I mean, of course it could, it's the internet. But like, was it? Or is it just a really super creepy video proving an alien race of lizard people? You tell me, man.
Number 10, the chimpanzee human, also referred to as humanzees, which is fun to say. Look, here are the facts, people. We're very close to chimpanzees, DNA-wise. Around 98% of our DNA is shared with these hairy fellows. Back in the 1920s, we got closer than ever. A humanzee was not just a fantasy.
Introducing custom holographic stickers from Sticker Mule.
Soviet biologist Ilya Ivanov inseminated female chimps with human DNA, but it didn't work. Or did it? Things got questionable when a chimp named Oliver hit the scene in the 70s. Yeah, he was walking like a human, which we've never really seen before. He was referred to as the missing link because of his appearance and the way he would act. He was previously a performance animal. He was a show chimp, so not a hybrid, but many viewed these experiments as immoral back in the day. Which is, yeah, I agree. Also, I remember seeing chimps in family movies, I'm pretty sure. Remember those movies growing up where chimpanzees were like snowboarding or playing hockey? Most Extreme Primate, that was it. That's where we're at, chimpanzees doing barrel rolls and hockey stops. My friends, we're already there. I think we're already at the Planet of the Apes terrifying point. We're screwed if one of these experiments works, that's all I'm saying. Number 9, human cow eggs. Okay, we had a few giggles talking about chimps. Time to get into the real scary science. Back in 2008, hybrid research was being done. Human-animal hybrid research, obviously. The whole idea was to find a cure for Parkinson's disease. I like these projects because we're moving forward, at least. We're not just doing it because we're like, let's see if we can bring dinosaurs back. We're trying to find a solution. Otherwise, we don't need to be poking around cows. Nobody needs 3 bowls of cereal before gym class, okay? There's other ways to wake up in the morning. Let's just leave cows alone for like a bit, maybe? Scientists used the nucleus of a cow egg. They took it out and replaced that nucleus with the human and skin cells. And then in a little time, the egg can develop and turn into a blastocyst, aka a cloned embryo. And there we have stem cells for said science. Again, this is a lovely step, but how far do we go here with DNA mixing? How much DNA are we gonna mix before we're like, stop? Things could go south. For example, just like the number 8, Kunga. Perhaps the earliest example of human-animal hybrid testing. Scientists recently learned about this donkey hybrid that roamed ancient Mesopotamia. This was a time even before horses arrived, so they had to do something. Large Kungas would pull wagons, and smaller ones would help pulling plows and smaller loads. These little guys were the talk of the town. Imagine a hybrid animal before horses. No wonder they were a status symbol back then. 4,000 years ago, they were given as gifts for weddings. Nice, yummy. Oh, I wonder what this one is. It's definitely a kunga. It's gotta be a kunga. After so long, scientists are finally able to figure out what exactly a kunga was a hybrid of. It was a female donkey and a male Syrian wild ass. Yeah, it's crazy what you can still learn from ancient animal bones from thousands of years ago. Science is incredible. It's more amazing how involved this hybrid was in Mesopotamian culture. Do we bring back the kunga? I don't know. Kinda seems like we could use them. Number 7, woolly mammoth. It was announced less than a year ago that a team of scientists and entrepreneurs over at a new biosciences and genetics company called Colossal, they got the funding finally for quite this project. They're planning to bring the woolly mammoth back to life. Yep. Instead of just paying off student loans, they're like, how about we bring a mammoth back? Let's just see if we can do that. That'll solve some problems. The last mammoth alive was around 7,500 years ago. But what if we had these hairy Goliaths back again today? The Siberian tundra thousands of years ago was once full of these guys, but climate change began to slow them down. Also, humans needing food definitely didn't help. These guys provided warmth and, well, obviously look at them. Lots of food, so they died off quite quick. Genetics company Colossal raised over $15 million to try and bring this thing back to life. And they're on the way. They're doing it right now. That's happening as we speak. A mammoth is being born. They're using the CRISPR gene editing tool, which is a fun tool, I guess. Elephants are still kicking around, and their genomes, combined with the preserved mammoth DNA, is the magic trick. So if you see mammoths trending on Twitter in 4 to 6 years, well, you know why. There's not another Ice Age movie. It's definitely just a real mammoth. Number 6, Pyrenean ibex. The Pyrenean ibex also went extinct a long time ago. This was much sooner though than mammoths. This was around 2000. The last one was a female named Celia, and a falling tree sadly ended her life. Of all the ways to go, really? Come on, man, that's sad. It was a subspecies of the Spanish ibex. They were native to the Pyrenees Mountains on the border of Spain and France. Back in the medieval ages, their population was reduced drastically to an endangered level because of, knights and swords and bows equals lunch, right? So the numbers dipped. More than fair, there's armies to feed. But in 2009, science was ready for the Pyrenean ibex to return. It was successfully cloned and brought back from extinction for 7 whole minutes. Yeah, 7 minutes in heaven, or 7 minutes out of heaven, rather. DNA from the last living lady was implanted in the womb of a domestic goat. Yeah, a little goat hybrid. Lung complications are why the clone sadly didn't last, but we had a hybrid medieval animal for 7 minutes. We're getting close. Number 5, the super cow. Moo, but with a lot of O's. Introducing the super cow. Okay, start your day off with some super milk, and then have a super stomach ache. Your super pants. My God, I can't do milk anymore. Only in Belgium. Back in the 1800s, scientists and farmers brought together native cattle and short horn cattle to make this hybrid animal. After that, they would literally just pick the biggest cows of the bunch and then have them breed together, and then so on and so forth. These cows are officially called Belgian Blues, but I will continue to call them super cows. Thank you very much. That sounds amazing. I can't even look at them. God, they're disturbing. They look like bodybuilders. Just, it makes no sense. What? Where does that come from? Let's move on. Number 4, Tasmanian tiger. Once native to Australia, the Tasmanian tiger, also known as the thylacine, was a massive carnivorous marsupial that went extinct around the 1930s, also quite recently. Major factors here are, as you guessed what I said earlier, climate change, hunting, and its genetic diversity wasn't all too great. All those combined, it's just no chance. It's sad on one hand because these beautiful creatures disappeared so recently, but it's also recent enough that we have a shot at bringing them back to life. Hey, what's up? Hey, you've been asleep. Hi. Hybrid science. There we go. Let's get mixing. Yeah, imagine looking outside and seeing this thing on your front yard. Are we ready for this? I think we're ready. Let's jazz up some trails by introducing these guys. Specimens of the Tasmanian tiger still remain preserved in jars. No idea who has them or why, but we'll move on from that. Thank God for those jars. So we have Tasmanian tiger genes present, so scientists can now insert them into a mouse fetus. They just combine fetus of a mouse and DNA. I do this a lot. This is how I'm gonna explain this to my kids and be like, hey, this is how the human life cycle works. You just do this with your hands a lot, and then you're alive. They're still lacking the full DNA to successfully recreate it, but they're close. A recent $5 million donation to the University of Melbourne earlier this year allowed for researchers to create a research lab. So, yep, they're actually getting very close. They're like making the lab to make this thing. I'm like, ooh, they're gonna do it. Number 3, the great razor auk. Yes, once thriving in colonies off North Atlantic coasts, the great auk would grow up to 30 inches long and its wings would only be used to swim. They were cute, but quite defenseless, these little guys. Around the 1500s, European fishermen discovered this perfect area for hunting and or eating, and it just happened to be where most of these great auks were hanging out. So they disappeared fast. By 1950, the last 2 known specimens were hunted by a single fisherman on Eldey Island, just off the coast of Iceland. And that was it. They were gone. Until now. Nice. Scientists plan on using genetic information extracted from their fossils or preserved organs. Remember those guys in jars and the organs that I talked about? Yep. Classic organs in jars. Always coming in handy. They plan on editing their DNA into the closest living species, which is now the razor-billed auk. So now we get a nice fun hybrid again. The organization Revive and Restore is behind the wheel on this one, so keep it up. Keep bringing things back from extinction. Just not humans. I don't want zombies, please. Number 2, lions. Back in the 80s in the Chatbir Zoo in India, they started an experimental program where they would breed together domestic lions and African lions in the hopes that they would just be introduced to the wild and help with the dwindling population of wild lions in India. On paper, that's a great idea. That's a step forward. We love those. But the zoo found 2 African lions that were being used in a circus and was like, you know what? We're gonna save you guys. Get out of the circus. Then they brought them in to breed with their 2 Asiatic lions. So, I mean, from circus to science, it's like, you're still sorry. When the cubs were born, it was clear this was already a mistake from the get-go. The cubs already had severely weak back legs, they were having trouble walking as they got older, their immune system started to fail, and by 2000 they had bred more than 70 of these hybrid lions. So they finally decided to stop the program and all the males were given vasectomies in order to stop any further reproduction. There are luckily laws that prohibited them from killing these animals, so at this point, we're just waiting for them to die naturally, which sucks, but it's definitely better. And finally, number 1, the dodo bird. Dodo birds were once big and beautiful. These flightless ground nesting birds once filled the islands of...
We are Wardens, your go-to wholesale textile supplier. Whether you're looking for high-quality t-shirts, polos, cozy sweats, bag collection, or promotional gifts, we have got you covered. Our mission is to make your wholesale and retail experience seamless and cost-effective, allowing you to focus on what matters most: growing your business.
You might think you know Snapchat, but do you really? Here's 3 things that you might not know about Snapchat ads. Did you know that 9 out of 10 young people are on Snapchat? Yeah, they're on Snapchat connecting, exploring, and influencing, which leads me to number 2. Snapchatters trust recommendations from friends and family 4 times more than influencers. And number 3, with Snapchat ads, you can reach people where they share, connect, and explore, which also means you can hit your business goals with Snapchat ads. Click the link below to learn how your business can grow with Snapchat ads.
Mauritius, located in the Indian Ocean. They were awesome. We've seen them in Ice Age. They're all funny and big and furry. They had massive talons. They were gray and blue. They were gorgeous. And best part of all, they didn't have any natural predator until, us. Until we came around. Around 1507, the island was discovered by Portuguese sailors, and well, the rest is history or lunch. They were the easiest bird to hunt, hence the phrase dead as a dodo. They weren't just loved by sailors either. They were not 100% to blame here. Monkeys, rats, pigs, any animal basically that made its way to the island easily had their eggs for lunch, so it didn't take long for the dodo bird population to be completely wiped out. The last dodo was hunted in 1681, but could it be? Could we bring back said dodo birds? Scientists found an extremely well-preserved dodo skeleton back in 2007, so we may have a chance at picking some DNA apart there and bringing them back to life via hybrid science. A research facility near Melbourne, Australia is currently trying to use pigeon genes to bring the bird back. I mean, yeah, I'm all for the idea of bringing an animal back to life. Scientifically, that's definitely a feat in itself, but how long before these things are on hot ones, like dodo chicken wings? Now that I've said it, you kind of want one, right? Now you feel bad. There we go. Hit that thumbs up so we don't feel guilty in the future.
In our number 10 spot, we have Ramen Manuel. Chicago Mayor Ramen Manuel may be a shapeshifter reptile. I'll let you decide. In September 2012, during a press conference, viewers noticed that his eyes seemed to transform into, well, I'm not quite sure I know how to describe this because it's terrifying. Around his eyes, we see darkness of some sort, and suddenly his actual eyes become enlarged. Honestly, whatever happened wasn't human. Did he reveal himself as a shapeshifter reptile? I'm thinking yes. If you're enjoying this video so far, smash that like button as it'll really help us out. In our number 9 spot, we have Timothy Geithner. Former secretary to the treasurer, Timothy Geithner, has been accused of being a shapeshifter. Why? Well, because there's some weird footage of him possibly doing just that. Footage was taken of him at a press conference sitting and listening to the speaker when all of a sudden something starts happening to his right eye. A weird pattern that honestly looks like a pattern that you would see on a butterfly wing starts to form around his eye, sort of cupping it. It seems that it happens for a few seconds before he realizes it and tries to cover it up by touching the area, and in an instant, it's gone. No one can deny that the footage is rather odd, especially as he touches the area and poof, it's magically gone. It is super possible that we have a butterfly shapeshifter on our hands. Imagine. If I could be a shapeshifter, that's what I would want to be. something with wings. Probably a fairy. That would be great. In our number 8 spot, we have U.S. General David Petraeus. On June 15, 2010, the U.S. General David Petraeus appeared to faint during a conference, but at one point, though, his face appeared to be, well, not human. The footage of this one does appear to be a tad blurry, but it does seem like something has happened to his face. His face looks like it's, deformed, and the person that was looking at him and talking before he fainted did look a tad scared. But it could have been because he could see something was wrong. So there's that. But also, at one point, somebody stood up and conveniently blocked the camera from seeing him, so that's sus. But honestly, the footage for this one is too blurry for me to say, yeah, probs are reptiles. But the people that filmed it and shared it definitely said that they saw something that day and it did not look human. In our number 7 spot, we have Lady Gaga. Okay, Lady Gaga is an interesting one because there is a video that seemingly shows something going on with her eyes, but also she literally said on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert that she, quote, has always liked to shapeshift. Very sus, Gaga. The viewers of the show thought that it was a very interesting choice of words, and so many thought that there was a bit of truth to what she said, as if the energy around the word held more weight. I don't know. Certainly there are so many people that believe that Lady Gaga has had contact with the devil, and so it would make sense if she was a shapeshifter. Remember that time she suspended something in the air with her magical force field? Okay, but for real, is she a magical devil-like being? Or a shapeshifter? Would love to know your vote in the comment section below. In our number 6 spot, we have Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle, actress turned literal princess when she married Prince Harry, has had quite some speculation around her over being a robot. Now, I've heard many things, including reptilian, and some people believe something has just, replaced her. But the robot shapeshifter is an interesting theory. It started when a clip went viral over Harry and Meghan wearing masks to promote Madame Tussauds new Harry and Meghan edition. But what made everyone feel the creeps is not just the fact that their facial expressions are unsettling, but also because Meghan is not blinking. Terrifying. Whereas Harry apparently was. Anyways, I think that this got everyone to start theorizing that even though this is a mask, she may actually be a shapeshifter robot, and you know what? I don't blame them. We're probs living in iRobot and don't even know it. In our number 5 spot, we have President Bush. Now, this is a clip of Papa Bush, the 41st president of the US, speaking in an interview, and his eyes seem to change. For those of you who don't live in North America, there is a George Bush Sr. and Jr., and they both became president of the US. Anyways, this clip is of George Sr., aka Papa Bush, and most people are in agreement that he is absolutely a reptilian. I mean, at this point, I'm starting to be convinced that all the politicians are, but who knows? Maybe the whole world is. Maybe I am. Honestly, I wish I could shapeshift. Then I would just shapeshift myself into a passenger that has a ticket to board a flight to Paris and peace out of here. You know what I mean? Anyways, in this clip, his eyes definitely form into slits, and there's no doubt that if this clip is real, and so many say that it is, then, he's definitely not human. In our number 4 spot, we have Eileen Wuornos. Eileen Wuornos, who is known as an American serial killer, did a number of interviews before she was executed on October 9th, 2002. During a number of her interviews, people claimed to have seen some weird shape-shifting happening. This is a clip of an interview that she did where her eyes appeared to show that infamous reptile slit. There is so many people that believe that sometimes shapeshifters are responsible for some of the worst crimes in the world, and then they just, shapeshift out of prison afterwards after taking over the body of humans. That's definitely an interesting theory. I mean, regardless, clearly Eileen was evil, so even if she's not a shapeshifter, I'm sure someone could make a case for her being possessed by a demon. In our number 3 spot, we have Reptile Woman. This woman has been dubbed Reptile Woman for pretty obvious reasons. The footage that was taken of this mystery woman surfaced online and was apparently not altered in any way. The footage seems quite normal until it's broken down down frame by frame, and suddenly it's as if you see a different person. Her hands look different, her back, her face, and her eyes. It's fascinating. I personally wish the footage was easier to see, as it's not fully convincing me looking at something so blurry. It just makes me feel like it's been altered, but who knows? I may be wrong, and it sure seems like a lot of people believe that it's real. There have been a few people that have tried to debunk it, and truly I think I'm with them on their analysis. This one is too blurry for me to think that it's possibly real, but whatever. It might be. In our number 2 spot, we have M.W. Jeffrey Black Hodgson. Let's call him Jeff, you know, for short. So Jeff is the Grand Master of the Masons in Massachusetts. Yeah, if you don't know anything about the Masons, then definitely have a Google sesh later tonight. That's a whole other rabbit hole in itself. But yeah, if you know anything about the Masons, then you probably won't be surprised that they are on this list. The Grand Master, the big guy calling the shots, is in this video, and he certainly shows signs of being a shapeshifter. From his eyes suddenly showing slits to his skin apparently showing evidence, there are a lot of people that believe that this guy is a shapeshifter. And in our number 1 spot, we have Britney Spears. Okay, this one I refuse to believe is real, because I love her. God, I do not want to believe it, but the footage certainly makes you think that it's possible that she's a shapeshifter, or that a shapeshifter at some point had taken over her body. That to me would check out more when you think of everything that she has been fighting for recently in terms of her freedom and gaining full control of her body back again. Who knows? Perhaps there is way more to it than we can imagine. I just love her though, so I refuse to believe that she was born a reptile. Anyways, in this shot, her eyes seemingly show slits at times, just like a lot of the other footage that we've shown, and this would point to some kind of reptile living within her.
At number 10, we have the Body Snatchers, an alien plant that invades Earth from space and only has one goal: to take over the planet, consume all the life, and then leave the planet dead as a doornail as the creature moves on to its next victim. The first time this monstrosity showed its face was in the book Body Snatchers in 1955. Since then, it has been transported to the silver screen again and again and again, with the most recent adaptation being in 2007 with the Nicole Kidman movie Invasion. The Body Snatchers are a plant from outer space. They release spores that infect people and put them into a deep sleep state. While they sleep, a duplicate is created that is in complete control of the Body Snatchers. The original is then disposed of, never to be seen again. The duplicate looks identical to the original in every way, right down to the scars. But the Body Snatchers have no connection to human emotion, which makes them a much deadlier enemy. They operate as a hive mind to take over an entire planet. It's safe to say by the time you find out the infection is real, it is too late. At number 9, we have the Terminator. Arnold, baby, I'll be back. You are terminated. Hasta la vista, baby. These are all amazing lines that were born from the amazing movie series starring one of the greatest villains of all time, a nearly unstoppable machine from the future to change the course of history, known as the Terminator. Now, is the Terminator a monster? Of course he is. He's scary, he's dangerous, and he murders without any feeling. That's a monster. This killing machine for sure fits into this list. For those of you who don't know the Terminator, he is a robot sent from the future with one mission: to kill people from the past so he can ensure the success of Skynet, which is the company who will make the artificial intelligence that develops the mind of the Terminator. There are several series of this bad boy. You got the classic T-800, who is the Terminator we all know and love. There is the T-1000, who is made up of a living metal like mercury, who added out to kill you and can take the form of any person it encounters, duplicating their features and their voice. In the most recent Terminator movie, there's an alternate future which creates the Rev-9, the most advanced Terminator that the series has ever seen. It's half skeletal Terminator and the other half is like liquid Terminator, able to split both halves into two separate weapons and can hack the internet, duplicating anyone. Basically, if this thing comes to kill you, you're done for. At number 8, we have The Thing. Another movie classic. This is one of John Carpenter's best movies, and every time I watch it, it literally creeps me out. There's something about real props that creeps the hell out of me. The Thing is an extremely resourceful creature. Through physical contact can spread from one person to another on a cellular level. The cells start to digest the host cells, creating new The Thing cells that will take over the body completely, making an exact duplicate of the host. The Thing is only able to copy organic material, so animals and people are its main targets. It also has the ability to shapeshift, grow claws, fangs, tentacles, and a whole bunch of weird stuff. It can consume enough organic material to grow into a massive monstrosity. Its weaknesses are fire, as it will burn every last cell, but you will have to make sure that you kill every last single one. If there's even just a little bit left, it can attach to a host and regrow. Also, it can survive extreme cold temperatures for an unknown amount of time, possibly forever. At number 7, we have the Skrull, one of the greatest villains of the Marvel Universe. The Skrull are an alien race that have the ability to shapeshift into other humanoids. They are masters of invasion and will take over entire planets with Skrulls, mimicking high-ranking officials by stealing their memories and moving into their lives completely. Some people will be married to a Skrull, even have children with them, and never know. Skrulls can also mimic superheroes' powers. They will usually kidnap the people they replicate so they don't have the other version running around trying to blow their cover. One of the greatest Skrulls ever, Super Skrull, has taken more than one power at a time, the entire Fantastic Four, into one body. At number 6, we have Dracula. I mean, I don't really need to go into a deep breakdown onto who this guy is. He is the king of the vampires. He is the OG. He's been blending in with people and killing them since before it was cool. His powers have changed over again and again throughout time, but here are some of the more popular ones. He has super strength, super speed, and agility, the ability to seduce and hypnotize people through eye contact. He can turn into a horde of bats and fly into the darkness. And of course, his weaknesses are sunlight, a wooden stake, and sometimes crosses. And he has a constant need to drink human blood. The legend of Dracula originally comes from the Romanian ruler Vlad the Impaler. He was known for his brutality. He would leave the bodies of impaled men outside his castle to scare off invading armies, and it said that he would dip his bread in the blood of his victims. At number 5, we have replicants, a questionable villain from the movie Blade Runner. Replicants are human-like slaves that are grown in a lab for service purposes. They are all given expiry dates, and they're supposed to serve one purpose and that's it, which is usually some hard labor. Some of them go rogue and then are taken down by Blade Runners, who are basically cops who hunt down replicants. The only way you can tell the difference between a real person and a replicant is through the Vogt-Kampff test. This one is questionable because replicants only rebel because they want to live, but they also kill a bunch of people in the process, so it's kind of a gray area. At number 4, we have Martian Manhunter, one of the greatest to come out of the DC universe. Martian Manhunter is one of the most powerful heroes to work with the Justice League in the never-ending battle against evil. Now, anyone who knows the character knows that he's a hero and probably shouldn't be on a list of scary monsters, but let me just break him down for a minute and give you my reasons why. Let's get into his powers first. He has super strength, flight, shapeshifting, telekinesis, mind reading, intangibility, durability, regeneration, extrasensory input, and in some instances heat vision. He is by far one of the most powerful creatures in the DC universe, with Superman once saying, "I can count on one hand the number of known beings in the universe that I would be afraid to face in combat." And John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, is at the top of the list. Superman said he's afraid of this dude. That means he's someone to be feared. If he was ever to go rogue, it could be the end of the world as we know it. At number 3, we have She-Mantis. In the television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, we see all sorts of strange supernatural creatures that always have new ways of trying to kill the protagonist and her friends. Now, in the episode Teacher's Pet, we saw the writers take the teacher seducing the student fantasy and turn it on its head. One of the main characters, Xander, has a new teacher, and she is a bombshell, Miss Natalia French, and she starts to pull him in with her sultry ways. I have to admit, if I was in this position, I would fall for the same thing. Throughout the episode, we see her seduce him more and more. Xander is totally into it, while Buffy and the rest of the gang is a little suspicious. Eventually, Miss French invites Xander over so they can work on a school project. He arrives there, and just as things are about to get hot and heavy, she drugs him and then drags him into the basement, ties him up, and it's revealed that she's actually a giant praying mantis that has the ability to shapeshift into a human. Now she has Xander as her prisoner, and she's going to use him as food and a tool to reproduce. Luckily, Buffy and the rest of the crew come to save the day. Xander is saved, but probably will never trust a woman again. At number 2, we have reptilian shapeshifters. This is the conspiracy theory that popped off before all conspiracy theories were mainstream. They were the brainchild of author and former sports broadcaster David Icke. Now they sound like something that would be pulled out of a science fiction novel, but Icke insists that they are real. He claims that reptilian shapeshifters shapeshifters called Anunnaki have been in control of mankind for centuries and are embedded in every high-level power on the planet. He made claims that the entire royal family is reptilian pretending to be a person, and they want nothing more than to eat our bodies and watch us suffer. He says that they've orchestrated all major disasters in the world, and he has claimed that he's seen glimpses of them transform in person. The Anunnaki are the backbone of every shadow government, like the Illuminati and all the other ones. And they continue to control the world and manipulate humanity unless someone does something about it. I'm gonna pass on unveiling this one and just sit on my couch eating ice cream. That's what I'm gonna do. And for the number one spot, we have Zeus. Wait, what? Why would you put the Greek god of the skies on a list of monsters pretending to be humans? Well, for one, Zeus has transformed into a person before, mostly to try and seduce women, and he's actually a monster. Just because he lives up in the clouds doesn't mean he's a nice guy, like he's a monster inside his soul. Let's break down some of the horrible things that Zeus has done. He has always been a fan of incest, which isn't super weird among the gods, but still not very cool. He once killed his wife so he could marry another lady who was the goddess Hera, and then once he was married to Hera, he cheated on her all the time. He once turned into a swan and then raped a lady, and on top of all that, he sentenced the Titan Prometheus to have his liver eaten out by an eagle every day for eternity. Prometheus is immortal, so it'd regenerate and then it would come eat his liver out again. This is all because Prometheus gave fire to people, because he was a good dude. Literally, an eagle flies down every day to eat the guy's liver, and the next day it regenerates and it starts again. And on top of that, he's the one who gave Pandora's box to Pandora so she opened it and unleashed all the evil in the world. But Zeus is the one who gave Pandora an unrelenting need of curiosity, so he knew she would open the box and unleash evil in the world. So, pretty bad dude.
In our number 10 spot, we have the Queen of England. Okay, your girl is British, and being so, us Brits just have a soft spot for the Queen, but apparently the rest of the world doesn't, and everybody seemingly thinks she's a shapeshifter reptilian hybrid. So that was news to me. Not only just the Queen, but a lot of people speculate over the entire royal family being reptilian hybrids. The reason being due to some footage that surfaced online that showcased the Queen being dressed in one of her cute outfits. But then all of a sudden, they zoom in on her eye, and you see her eye looking completely creepy. Honestly, the footage is terrifying, and I've watched enough horror movies in my life to recognize a demon when I see one, and her eye looked just a tad bit demon-like. Apparently people have said that her eye was just bloodshot. But yeah, I don't know about that excuse. They really should have said that she had some kind of eye disease, because that I would believe. I've had a bloodshot, probably at least plus 10 times in my life, and I've seen bloodshot eyes several times, and never have I ever seen anything that looks like that. Her entire eye is bloody looking. Honestly, it's as if perhaps someone punched her in the eye, except there's no swelling. It's very strange. So anyways, I see why people think she's possibly a shapeshifter. In our number 9 spot, we have Katy Perry. Okay, this is some crazy footage, y'all. I have obviously heard of the theory that celebs are really just reptiles, but like, damn, Katy Perry? I love her. I don't want to believe it. You can't make me. Okay, but for real, even if she is a shapeshifter reptilian, is it possible that she's not a bad one? I say yes. Anyways, in this clip we see Katy Perry's eye shift from blue to green, and her pupils become slits for a second before she seemingly notices and looks away from the camera. Very sus, Katy. In our number 8 spot, we have Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron is an actress and extremely talented singer, most notably known for her Disney Channel show Liv and Maddie and The Descendants. Her voice is angelic, and personally, I'm a big fan. But regardless of my feelings, people speculate that she is a shapeshifter, or that a shapeshifter has taken over her body. One or the other. There is some recent footage of her doing an interview on the red carpet, and in this interview she has a moment where it seems as if she shifts a little. When you zoom into her eyes, it appears as if for a second her eyes reveal her pupils suddenly turning into a slit, just for a second, before turning back. It's really quite fast, but if you slow down the footage and zoom in closely, you can see it clear as day. So perhaps she has something weird going on with her eye, or perhaps she's actually a shapeshifter. Probably the latter. In our number 7 spot, we have Beyonce. Many are very suspicious of Beyonce apparently, and I had no idea. Apparently she is one of the most suspicious of the Hollywood celebs that people are pretty certain certain is a shapeshifter reptile, and it's because of a few different shots of her that reveal some pretty wild things. Apparently, in one shot you see Beyonce singing, and suddenly the side of her face almost looks scaly. In another shot, Beyonce is dancing on stage and whipping her hair around, and for a millisecond you can literally see her face transform into a demon. I'm not joking, it's terrifying, and it's probably real. It's hard to believe her heavenly voice is even human, so most likely she's from out of this world. What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section below. In our number 6 spot, we have Antique Roadshow Reptile. In this video, captured on camera, it is a regular episode of the BBC show The Antiques Roadshow, when, in the background, the camera captured a man staring at the camera. His eyes appear pretty large, being opened quite wide, and if you zoom in, it looks as if his pupils have slits. His eyes resemble a snake's eyes, revealing that he is obviously a shape-shifter snake. He doesn't appear to be with anyone, just hanging in the background, smirking at what he's observing. It's crazy to see this on camera, but I wonder if anyone has actually seen this in person. My suspicious brain would probs not even believe anyone, even if they did claim that they saw this in real life. I'd be like, show me that proof, or nothing. I'll just be sad. In our number 5 spot, we have the NBC shapeshifter. In 1995, there was reportedly an NBC News reporter by the name of Isaiah Carey who was in the middle of filming when he allegedly swallowed a grasshopper. What's eerie about this video is that if you zoom in, you can observe him having an abnormally large, somewhat pointy tongue, and the color is slightly green. The reporter had a very big reaction, which, I mean, if I swallowed a grasshopper, I would have screamed. Drama queen. But most people think that he turned away from the camera to hide his tongue, which does seem possible, but then again, no one wants to have something that gross documented on camera, so I would probably turn away too. Reptile or human? Probably reptile. In our number 4 spot, we have the Mexican schoolboy. In a video that was shared in September of 2018, there appears to be a boy and a girl, and a lot of chaos around them. Students leaving their seats and a lot of hustle and bustle when all of a sudden, the girl seems to turn into the boy, and the boy falls down and faints. She runs down the stairs, now as him, and then after 30 seconds on the ground, the boy, who's being approached by adults, he suddenly wakes up and begins to run at top speed away from the scene. Honestly, this one to me feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi show. I mean, at one part it does look like it's filmed on a phone, but for the most part it kind of gives me old Degrassi The Next Generation vibes, but maybe that's just me. Anyone else with me? But people say that it is real, and so all I have to say is that, damn. Yep, that's all I've got. In our number 3 spot, we have the shape-shifting goat. In 2009, Nigerian police actually arrested a goat as apparently someone had shape-shifted into it. It was caught by vigilantes who were chasing 2 men who were trying to steal a Mazda car. They claimed that one of the 2 men escaped while the other used black magic to transform into a goat. Okay, this one wasn't caught on camera, but I thought you had to be told about this because I'm tripping out. Reportedly, the police said one of them escaped and the other turned into a goat. We cannot confirm the theory, but the goat is in our custody. This is the best one I've ever done. We cannot base our information on something mystical. It is something that has to be proved scientifically that a human being turned into a goat. Okay, so anyone else kinda hoping this story isn't true only because then the story is that a bunch of police arrested a goat? Honestly, I'm good with either story being true. In our number 2 spot, we have the alien security guard. In 2012, at the US-Israel Policy Conference, while President Obama was making a speech, there were cameras that were circulating around the area, and they were shooting footage of the audience. From the front view, we see 2 security guards standing in the aisle. They look like, they're most likely CIA agents. But then a camera shoots the security guards from behind, and one of them in particular does not look human from behind, as well as the camera catches him looking completely different than he does from the front. We see a bald man with no ears and a pointy chin. His nose looks short and rounded, and his eyes appear to be dark and quite sunken in. Most people think that because it was so dark and crowded that people would have missed this, and that the camera caught this shapeshifter in a blip of a moment in its true form. Many have concluded from this footage that the US is in cahoots with an alien race. And at this point, I'm pretty convinced too. What do you think? In our number 1 spot, we have the alleyway shifter. Okay, this clip is crazy. This is footage of a person that goes into an alleyway that is semi-lit and stands still. And then what appears to be a dark shadow leaves its body and walks away, and the person remains frozen. This clip is so controversial and has been a point of debate for some time now, but I'm not sure what you can even debate. You can clearly see someone or something leave the body and the body stays frozen in place. This clip is one of the most seemingly real clips out of everything I saw, but apparently all of the footage is real. Interesting. Very interesting indeed.
At number 10, we have Kitsune. Now, this one has also been associated with Gumiho from Korean legends or Hulijing from Chinese legends. It is a creature that appears as a fox with shape-shifting abilities, and it's commonly a trickster. In the Korean legends, a Gumiho can freely transform into many things, but most commonly into beautiful women. These Gumiho in female form then set out to seduce boys and eat either their liver or their heart, depending on the legend. Both Kitsune and Gumiho have also been recorded as far creepier as well. Some have been recorded to be bloodthirsty half-human, half-fox hybrids that lurk in cemeteries. They would wait until night and then dig human hearts out from graves and eat them. At number 9, we have La Cegua. Now this one comes from a Costa Rican legend, and it originated as a device to scare men into being loyal and stay close to home at night. Men would be charmed by La Cegua's beauty as they wander home. She would appear out of a fog with porcelain skin, long black hair, and big dark eyes. Men would just forget about their wives and ask if she needed to be escorted home. They would turn again to look at her beauty, and she had changed. Once they finished their offer, La Cegua would be completely transformed. They would look and she would have turned from beauty to a nightmare, appearing as a monster with a horse's head. She would have flaming red eyes and big yellow teeth. She was rumored to make men go insane and sometimes didn't let them leave with their life. At number 8, we have a lycanthrope, aka werewolf. Lycanthrope? You tell me. But let's just say I'm not talking about the big bad wolf. But let's be real, he had a pretty convincing moment as the grandmother, and is he a shapeshifter? But let's be real, I'm talking about werewolves. While they are not fully pretending to be human, they come up often enough and it would be wrong not to include them on this list. Werewolves are frequently depicted in folklore and often come up as creatures that wreak havoc on the natural world. They are seen as creatures unable to stop themselves from transforming into a bloodthirsty wolvish beast. They got this curse in some lore as a punishment from God, a kind of divine smite against those who provoked their wrath. Other ways of becoming a werewolf or shape-shifting was by wearing an animal skin or drinking water out of the footprint of an animal. Just a little sip and then boom, wolf. I kind of want to try it. Maybe. On to number 7, a selkie. When you think of a water-sea human hybrid, a mermaid might be what comes to your mind. But they are permanently caught in between. They have a human top half and a fishy lower half, but selkies, on the other hand, they can truly roam the land and sea. Selkies are commonly found in Northern European mythology. Their main form is the seal form, and in order to shapeshift into human form, they need to shed their seal skin. Now, this is risky for selkies because it is rumored that they need their own original seal skin to return to their seal form. But once they're in human form, they have also been known to lure humans into the sea. They seduce people and create illusions to form a false sense of reality, leading the humans into their death out in the sea. At number 6, Encantado. Now this legend comes from the Amazon. The Encantado are said to be a water cryptid that lives in the Amazon River. Most of the time they are a pink river dolphin, but once a year they come out of the river. They shapeshift into a young man in white clothes for a Brazilian celebration in June. The one thing that doesn't change in their form is the blowhole from the dolphin form, so the Encantado have to wear a hat to keep their disguise intact. A Allegedly, it is dangerous to see or be near the Encantado at these festivals. This is because they attend the parties in order to seduce, kidnap, or impregnate young women. Just like other stories, stories like these are thought to be a way to convince young women not to trust handsome strangers because they may just be a pink dolphin in disguise. Encantado, a pink dolphin in disguise. On to number 5, Rakshasa. The Rakshasa is a humanoid being in Hindu mythology. It was also later incorporated into Buddhism. Now, the Rakshasa were created by the breath of Brahma, the creator god in Hinduism, when he was asleep. They apparently were so bloodthirsty they started eating Brahma himself. So Vishnu came to his aid and banished the Rakshasa to earth. They were most often depicted as ugly, fierce-looking, and enormous creatures. They were shown with 2 fangs protruding upwards and having sharp, claw-like fingernails. They are mean, growl like beasts, and have an insatiable desire to eat man, all of the way to the point that they can even smell the scent of human flesh. Some of the more ferocious Rakshasa were shown with flaming red eyes and hair, drinking blood with their palms or from a human skull. Most Rakshasa had magical powers of illusion called Maya, which enabled them to change size at will and assume the form of any creature. Using this, they could disguise themselves as a human. At number 4, the Napura bee. The Napura bee is a ghost that looks human but has no face. They can often feign having human facial features, but can wipe them off like wiping off a chalkboard. An old tale about them, called the Napura bee in the koi pond, goes like this. A lazy fisherman decided to fish in the imperial koi ponds near the Heian Kaio Palace. Despite being warned by his wife about the pond being sacred and near a graveyard, the fisherman went anyways. On his way to the pond, he is warned by another fisherman not to go there, but he again ignores the warning. Once he's at the spot, he is met by a beautiful young woman who pleads with him not to fish in the pond. He then ignores her and, to his horror, she wipes off her face. Rushing home to hide, he is confronted by what seems to be his wife, who then chastises him for his wickedness before wiping off her facial features as well. Just full on like, Cause like just imagine you're chatting someone up and they give you just one of these and just is going like, but like the face is gone. But on to number 3. Ghoul. The ghoul from Arabic folklore is said to lurk around uninhabited places like cemeteries. It lures people to deserted locations or abandoned places to kill and devour them. It is said to prey on young children, drink blood, steal coins, and eat the dead as well. This may be why the lore says they lurk around cemeteries, since they're trying to eat the dead. Now, after eating their prey, they are said to take on the form of the person they most recently ate. Other tales of the ghoul say it dwells in the desert and can assume the guise of a hyena. Using this form, it is said to lure people into the desert wastes. In the vampire book, The Encyclopedia of the Undead, a ghoul is said to roam throughout the wilderness of Afghanistan and Iran. Number 2.
Hey Fit Fam, I just found the biggest weight loss hack for y'all.
Doppelganger. So there are also superstitions that claim the doppelganger is a non-human entity which can alter its physical appearance to literally become someone else and take their place. Obviously, they are not human beings, but they look just like the person they are trying to mimic. In old lore, it was said that the doppelganger consumed the original person once they looked the exact same and met them. The stories of doppelgangers were used to explain early and misunderstood cases of Alzheimer's. Also, they were used as an answer to severe depression or violent thoughts of mothers. The latter was being used as a justification since it was believed that no mother could ever hurt her own child unless she wasn't truly the mother, just someone else entirely. All in all, the thought of someone in your life being replaced by an entity which only pretends to know you and care about you is pretty creepy. And last but not least, at number 1, the devil. So the devil and demons have believed the best way to get humans to sin is to be among their ranks. Essentially, peer pressure. So to do this, devils and demons will assume human form. They can either possess a human or disguise themselves as one. Old folklore says they could easily be spotted, and they often forgot to hide some of their more prominent features. Features like horns on their head or forked tongues. The devil himself apparently forgot to hide his hooved feet quite a bit. Now, once devils and demons are found out, they usually disappear, but not always. If the human target doesn't renounce them, but instead chooses to make a deal, there could be consequences.
Starting us off with number 10 are the ash bullets. This was from a native Navajo who was coming back from the Navajo Nation Fair with his family and grandmother. How many times am I gonna say Navajo in this video, I swear? The conversation somehow got into skinwalkers, but his grandma shut it down pretty quickly. That night, as he was just in bed, he heard something moving outside his house. Thinking it was a stray dog or something, he didn't think much of it, but then he heard the loudest distorted scream, shat himself, then ran downstairs and woke up his mum. They looked outside the window and saw this coyote thing limping towards the door, dragging his right leg as he did. It started scratching at the door and moaning, and all his parents could do was shout words in Navajo at it, telling it wasn't welcome there. At this point, everyone in the house was awake and panicked, but his granddad knew exactly what to do. He went and got a handgun from a drawer and a bag of ashes. I don't know where he got this bag of ashes from, but he did. And he coated the bullets in it and loaded the gun. He went to the door shouting Navajo words and then opened the door and fired twice, but the thing escaped unscathed. His granddad turned around and said, "That's the fastest one I've ever seen." So he's a pro veteran at this, clearly. It was about 4 a.m. by the time everyone actually calmed down, and the family actually went to a medicine man the next day to be blessed against the skinwalker. Coming in at number 9 is the chase. So this was from a cop called J.G. Buckland, and he recalled how he was once working the night shift at a hotel in New Mexico. He was patrolling the hotel in his car when he decided to take a nap, just what I like to hear from the cop. A bit after 2 a.m. something hit the bottom of his car so hard it actually swayed. Mind you, this was a 1978 Thunderbird, so it was a big heavy car. I mean, it's not easy to make it move. JG woke up and drove forward and saw there was a dog sort of thing sitting where his car had been. But as he started looking at it, he felt like he was drowning in this dark energy and that this thing was just pure evil. The face of the dog had human features, mostly the eyes, but it didn't have a snout nose. That bit also looked more human, and it wasn't black tipped like a dog's nose. Size-wise, it was slightly bigger than an adult German Shepherd, which are pretty big in and of itself. With this in mind, JG decided to hit the dog with his car, but it ran off the property but then back onto the property, so he started driving after it. It made its way into a third parking lot and then into a weedy area, and at this point JG was chasing it on foot with his gun. It came up and threw him aside like he was made of air and then ran away. This thing ran into the weedy area on 4 legs and exited on 2, so the dog was now a nude man that was screaming as it left, and after that encounter, JG had such bad luck, health problems, etc. after this, so he actually went to a shaman to get cleansed from this experience. And I want to be cleansed from telling the story. At number 8 we have the lookalikes. This one's from Redditor JibbyJam1, who was in New Mexico exploring some old Spanish ruins with some friends. While they were at one of the sites at night, they suddenly heard an angry, ear-piercing, blood-curdling scream, which prompted them to want to get the hell out of there. They went back to their camp, and a while later the user went for a piss about 300 meters from the camp, and this is where things got weird. He remembered seeing 2 dust devils coming towards him, but when he turned around, it was just 2 of his friends who were motioning him to follow them, which he did almost like he was being sucked into doing so. He followed his friends for like 10-15 minutes, but as he was snapping back to reality, he realized these weren't his friends at all. His friends had bright red hair, and these 2 people's faces were identical to his friends', but they both had cat-like eyes and were brunette. He stopped in his tracks, and they turned to look at him as if they were about to kill him on the spot. He ran in a full sprint back to the camp where his friends hadn't even realized he was gone. Great friends you have, by the way. And he told them what had happened, and they packed the hell up and drove back to Albuquerque. Filling our number 7 slot is the delivery trip. This one's from Reddit user Neptune420, whose dad ran a small delivery service in Farmington, New Mexico. One day they got a delivery for Window Rock, Arizona on the Navajo reservation, and the dad decided to take his Navajo friend Travis and his girlfriend with him as they wanted to see some family there. So they took 2 separate trucks and had walkie-talkies with them so they could communicate between vehicles. The trip and delivery went fine, they had a great day, but then on their way back, that was when things really took a turn for the worst. They're driving towards a hill, and as they crest it, the dad sees what he thinks is a giant dog sitting on its haunches in the middle of the road facing away from them. He walkies his friend Travis in the other car, asking if he sees the dog, to which Travis replies, "That is not a dog, speed up right now and hit it." Hysterically, he went on and said, "Hit it, JJ, you have to hit it. Please hit that thing right now." So the dad speeds up, and as they get closer, they see the dog's matted hair seems to have dried blood all over it, and just before they hit it, it turned around to reveal that it had a face. The face was a hybrid between a bear and a human, but it looked distorted and in pain, and as soon as they hit it, it screamed like it was drowning and then ran into the nearby field. They saw a cop a little while later, and Travis made them pull over and was completely on edge when he told the officer that they saw a skinwalker a few miles back and it had been following them. The officer, who was Navajo himself, turned white, stammered something unintelligible, and then got into his car and left. very helpful. But what I took away from the story is the fact that the dad, no questions asked, just hit this thing. Like, he didn't even question Travis, like, oh, why should I hit that dog? He just went from 0 to 100 real quick, fast and furious, real quick. Now at number 6 is the walking coyote. Now this one's from Redditor Endelos, who said during the early 80s, her sister was on the way back from a friend's at night when her car broke down. Thankfully, she broke down in front of a family friend's house, so she went in and called her dad, and he came to get her. They were driving back at around 10 p.m. and were passing a heavily wooded area when out of nowhere they hear an incredibly loud, inhuman scream. The user's dad hit the brakes just in time to see a 6-foot-tall coyote with a black and white striped tail walking on just 2 legs. Thankfully, I don't think the sister or dad were its true targets because it disappeared quite quickly after that, but then they heard the same scream again, only 10 times louder than the first time. This time the dad didn't brake, he accelerated out of that situation ASAP. Coming in at number 5 is the running man. This one's from Brent Swansett, and funnily enough it also took place near Window Rock, Arizona. He was driving on the highway at night when he saw what seemed to be a large coyote sitting in the middle of the road. He slowed down so he wouldn't hit it, unlike that other user's dad, and he found that the coyote wasn't scared of the car at all.
Add sparkle to any design with glitter stickers by Sticker Mule. Glitter stickers are a fun way to showcase your artwork, promote your brand, or bedazzle the ordinary. Each sticker is printed in full color on a glitter-like material that will make your artwork truly shine. To get started, select a size and quantity. Upload your artwork and check out. Within a few hours, we'll send you a proof showing how your glitter stickers will look. You can request changes to the proof for free until you're happy. With easy ordering, fast turnaround, and free shipping, Sticker Mule is the internet's favorite place to buy glitter stickers.
Don't play with your food, we're told as kids. Carolina Rice dares you to. Get your hands dirty. Spice things up. Because when you play, life tastes better. Let's play with Carolina Rice.
It didn't even move a muscle when Brent honked at it, so he just decided to save himself the trouble and drive around it. As he drove away, his dad turned to him and went, "Would you look at that?" And he was referring to the coyote who was now chasing behind the car. The coyote then matched the speed of the car running right alongside it, and then out of nowhere the coyote becomes a naked running man. Still keeping pace with the car, mind you. The man started slapping the car while having the creepiest grin on his face. Like, I can just imagine that, and I just don't want to imagine it anymore. At this point, they're going like 50 miles per hour, but he's still there. To end his pursuit, the man let out a loud wail and then swerved away. Either way, Brent and his dad were terrified, and I would have been too, but for some reason, I really can't shake the image that this naked man looked like the guy who plays Aquaman. I don't know why, it's just in my head. At number 4 is the party. This one's from Redditor Trey_Lightning, who said that anytime his mum would take him to her hometown on the reservation, she'd always tell him a skinwalker story. But this particular one was told to him by his aunt. Now back in the day, his aunt and her friends used to party a lot, and one day they got in a van, drove out to the boondocks, and just drank. A bit after sunset, everyone was laughing and in good spirits when they heard what sounded like rocks being thrown at the van. The sound stopped, but then an even bigger sound followed, and they quickly realized someone or something had just jumped onto the roof of the van. They locked